Hello, weary travelers, and welcome to another fantastically chronicled adventure from the world of Pokemon. There are those who call me Bardbreaker, and today we're journeying to the world of Johto to ask and answer the question, can I beat Pokemon Crystal using only a single Kabuto? Kabuto is of course one of the 3 Generation 1 fossil Pokemon. This one is the one that you get from restoring the Dome fossil. It has a base stat total of 355, which unsurprisingly puts it equal to the Ammonite that you restore from the Helix fossil, but also on par with Esper and even Trumbeak. Most of our stats, like most rock Pokemon, are in our physical defense, but physical attack is pretty nice here too. The rest of our stats though are pretty humdrum, so nothing too special there. Oh, and our HP sucks, by the way. Speaking of sucking, here's our moveset, and you should immediately see the problem here. We're a rock-water dual-type Pokemon that doesn't learn any damn water moves. And hell, we only learn one rock move at level 55. What is with this moveset? Why can we learn Absorb and Mega Drain, which are grass moves, but not something like Water Gun? These are horrible moves given our typing and when we actually learn them. Yes, Ancient Power is nice, but we don't get it all the way until level 55. We do get a bit of type coverage as we can learn Blizzard and Icy Wind, but we're still not getting a major improvement here. Now, there is one saving grace here though, and that's the move Rollout, and this is one of my favorites. This will be sweet once we get to it. In any event, guys, as always, before we dive into the story, it's time for you to please the almighty Algorithms, god of the YouTube algorithm, by commenting down below and letting me know if you think we've got this or not. I definitely think we'll have no trouble once we get to Rollout. That is such a broken move, it's not even funny, but we gotta get there first. That being said though, every good challenge needs some ground rules, so here are ours. I can only use Kabuto in battle. I will need other Pokemon for out-of-battle HM use, but I won't be allowed to use those Pokemon in battle. I also will not allow myself the use of any items in battle, although held items and items outside of battle are allowed. And finally, there will be no major cheats, glitches, or exploits, aside from replacing our starter with Kabuto, and adding in additional rare candies when needed, simply to cut down on our grinding time. Like I've said before, grinding doesn't actually impact the game at all other than making us waste precious time. It requires no skill, nor strategy, just time, so we might as well help eliminate that. So let's do this. Also, before we begin, side note, this was the first time where I actually simultaneously recorded the run and streamed it on Twitch while doing so. So feel free to follow me over there at the link in the doobly-doo as well to get notified whenever I stream one of these runs. So, starting our run off, we make our customary visit with the pervert outside of Elm's lab urinating on his begonias, who apparently just wants to pee in private, and he pushes us out on our way. Professor Tree has decided he's too damn lazy to walk to the next town over, so instead he'd rather send this 10-year-old neighbor boy to do his errand work for him. We'll need a Pokemon to get us through the grass, so we pick up Kabuto. Now, I've used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Kabuto so we can do the entire run with it. Replacing Totodile means the rival should still take Chikorita, which will give him the best Pokemon to face us since we're going to be quad weak to any grass moves. Cause I just love punishing myself, I guess. I nickname it Domi, because that's what Vitka Wolfsbane wanted down in the chat. In any case, now it's time for us to press on to Cherry Grove City to meet Mr. Pokemon, the man who has so thoroughly dedicated his life to Pokemon that he's named himself after them. Or wait, could it be that the Pokemon were all so happy and enthralled with him and his work that they named themselves after him? What if Pokemon are only called Pokemon out of a sense of blind loyalty to the man who they came to idolize? Interesting if true. In any case, we get ourselves to Mr. Pokemon's house where we find him and Professor Oak engaged in a loving memorial to Ron Popeil. Just set it and forget it, and we get a slow rotisserie cooked egg from Mr. Pokemon and we're sent back on our way to Professor Tree. Before we can return back to the lab though, we have our first rival fight of the game. Fortunately for us though, the Chikorita doesn't know any grass moves yet, so we can just quickly dispatch it with some scratches and secure the win. A nice easy win to start the day. I hope it continues. Once we clear up some details with the local constabularies, we're free to continue our quest for greatness in Euros. Along the way for that quest though, I stop and pick up a Hoot Hoot for Flylater, nicknaming him Flapsity the 56th, long may he fly, as well as picking up a Poliwag for all of our aquatic needs later, nicknaming him Aquades the 56th, long may he swim. I then take my first crack at catching a Bellsprout for Cut, and oh boy did that not go well. We are 4 times weak to grass. That is gonna suck. Holy crap. Man, I didn't think about this being an issue, and there's that damn Bellsprout tower coming up around the corner. Oh dear, this could be a problem. Well, anyway, after we heal up, we catch a Spinnerack for Flash later at least, nicknaming her Fleshelius the 56th, long may she shine, and we actually start doing a bit of early grinding to see if we can make our way past the Bellsprouts without insta-dying, a phrase I never thought I'd be saying. In any case, we're able to, with some avoiding future flower encounters, make our way into Violet City, and it actually comes to my attention that we don't have to do Sprout Tower in the original Gen 2 game, which is nice. It's only mandatory in the Gen 4 remakes, so we go ahead and bypass it for now. And after I waste some time doing the Ruins of Alph puzzle that I apparently didn't get right, whatever, it's not worth it to fix it, we decide to go ahead and make a run at Faulkner anyway. And we actually don't have as hard a time as I was worried about here. We're weak to ground moves like Mud Slap, because again, for some goddamn reason, Rock is weak to ground, but we actually aren't taking too much damage from the Pidgey, and just a few scratches later, we bring it down. Its bigger, badder brother is up next though, and Pidgeotto has a speed tie with us, so we're taking turns going first, though we seem to be moving second more often than not. As you can see, we just keep getting Mud Slapped, but by the grace of Algoris, we somehow don't wind up missing any of our scratches. Added to that, we have a great bit of luck when we consume the berry that I forgot we were holding, and we're able to get enough health back to land enough scratches to finish off the slightly bigger but legally distinct from the previous bird for the victory and our first badge. The trip now between the first and second gyms really isn't anything remarkable. We actually have a pretty easy time of it since we have Absorb to get us past the quad-weak Onyx and Geodude we run into the cave. Once we get to Azalea Town though, we have some fun with Mr. Ballman Kurt, who decides to rescue the town's Slowpoke from Team Evil, but he trips on his shoelaces and hurts his back, so we have to take over. Now, it's an easy push to clear them out of the well, though, but I have a feeling we'll be hearing more of them over the Radio Shack later. But anyway, now it's time for Bugsy. And Bugsy actually lands us our second loss of the game on our first attempt. That Scyther just does a lot of damage with Fury Cutter. But we also win in Paralyze, which doesn't do us any favors. After a quick reset and going in with max health, I decided to take advantage of the opening Metapod to set up 6 Hardens. I don't normally bother using moves like this most of the time, but Bug is physical, and that's going to buff up our defense nicely to soften the blows from Scyther. Once we get to Scyther, we have ourselves a good old-fashioned sprint to the finish. Like Rollout, his Fury Cutters are going to double on each consecutive hit, and our health is dwindling with each successful hit. Fortunately though, he misses the second one, and we wound up with just enough health left to defeat him. You can see that last Fury Cutter would have done 20 or so damage had he not missed the second shot. That was nice that he missed. Remember folks, if the move's not 100% accurate, it might as well be 10% accurate. The next problem though is one of the biggest challenges we've ever had here on the channel. We have to get past our rival to leave town, and while that's normally not a big deal, it really is this time. First out is his Gastly, and all we can do is Absorb, which it resists being part poison. So, and of course it knows Spite, so we're stuck with luck of the draw. We can either A, get enough crits, or B, enough not super high Spite rolls to leave us with enough Absorbs to deal with the Gastly. It actually took 3 tries, but I did manage to get past the Gastly finally. Unfortunately for us, that lands us square into the Bayleaf, and would you look at this. We're 4 levels higher than it, but it one-shots us from full health with a basic Razor Leaf. Meanwhile, we are barely touching it with Scratch. Grass is special in Gen 2, so Harden isn't going to help us. We have to be able to one-shot the damn thing, or take a Razor Leaf in the process to 2-shot it. Either way, we're looking at a shit ton of grinding here to get a high enough level to make this all work. So after doing a bit of math, I realized we're not going to stand any chance at this at all until I get to a much higher level. So, like I said at the start of the run, we're going to add in some additional rare candies just to avoid having to grind 20 levels naturally here. Now, I do try again every 3 to 5 levels or so, just so we're not over-leveling more than we have to, until we can finally get some luck to go our way. We learn Sand Attack at level 28, and that does help chunk his accuracy for a bit of safety. As I start to level up, you can see the damage does start to rack up against his Gastly, and we start to have less and less trouble with it, as we have enough absorbed damage to get past him. Bayleaf is still a problem though, and is by no means a walk in the park. We have to get lucky and hope that he either misses his Razor Leaf or just chooses not to use it. I can survive 1, but not 2 now at this level, and unfortunately not a critical hit either. Fortunately for us on this go, he doesn't use Razor Leaf, we use a Scratch. He throws some leaves now, and we scratch again for the knockout. Whew, if he'd have just bothered to use Razor Leaf the first time, we'd have been doomed. All that's left though is Zubat, and that goes down lickety-split, and we're finally all the way at level 33, but we can finally leave Azalea Town. Now before we can proceed through Ilex Forest and move on to bigger and better things, I have to first stop and catch something for Cut. So I throw a ball at the first weed we see. Turns out to be an Oddish, which we catch, nickname her Snipticus the 56th, long way she cut, and we can proceed through the forest. Now, there's nothing of note here, and we quickly make our way to Goldenrod City, where we take a trip through the national park, and it's bug catching contest time, because it happens to be on a Saturday when I get there. Now, I thought I had a winning formula picked out. Find a Scyther or a Pinsir and just don't damage it, but we still manage to lose to Nick and his Scyther. We get an Everstone we probably won't ever use, and we get to keep the Pinsir for our trouble. I go ahead and nickname him Bisepticus the 56th, long may he live, and proceed back to Whitney at the normal gym. We make a small pickup north of town though first, the TM for Rollout. It's a rock move, like I said, so we'll get a 50% stab boost on it, but more importantly, it's a 30 base power move, doubling in strength with every successive hit. So this move gets dangerously strong, dangerously quickly. It can miss now and again, being 90% accurate, so we do have to be a little bit careful here. Now, I make it past Whitney's trainers without issue, though we decide to take her on. So out comes Keferi to start things off, and let's just play this out for a second. Metronome, this could be fun. No! Come on. Okay. That was too close. Of all the fucking moves for it to roll. Jinx, Nick. Yep, the damn thing used Razor Leaf. Are you kidding me? Of all the moves! Thank God it's not a grass type or we'd have lost there. We survive it though, and we take it out with a second rollout. Her famous Milkmaker is out last, and while it's famous for rollout, we land ours first and take it out before it has a chance to roll up on its own, and with that, we roll out another victory. Speaking of a rollout victory, we make our way north to Ecruteak City, and before we can take on Morty at the Ghost Gym, we have to first beat our rival, Tower Tim, and it's basically a one-shot rollout sweep. Haunter survives the first one, but fortunately doesn't paralyze us with a lick, and from there it is a one-shot sweep across his team, even with Magnemite resisting it and the Bayleaf potentially being an obstacle. By the time the 5th rollout comes up, it's against a Zubat, so we might as well be overkilling it at that point. Speaking of overkill, check out this fight against Morty. It is a one-shot rollout sweep. How awesome is that? I mean, I knew rollout was going to be broken, but man, a one-shot sweep against Morty. Well, a win's a win, and we're going to take it. I'm not complaining here, folks. Speaking of complaining though, Jasmine is sure doing a lot of it here. She's at the top of the lighthouse with her precious Ampharos, which is sick with Mystery Plague, and we're sent to go get some medicine for it. Even though there is Super Potion right bloody here. So we surf down to Cianwood Island, where we make a visit to Shady Sam's super secret potion shack, where we pick up the medicine for the sick light bulb back in Olivine. While I'm down here though, I make a visit to the local gymnasium where we have to take on Chuck, the fighting gym leader. And here's a fight we actually kinda have to pay a bit of attention to. We're part rock and he's a fighting type gym leader, so we are actually weak to his moves. Fortunately for us though, he's not doing a ton of damage and we're able to hang in the fight. I ultimately decided to go with Rollout anyway. While his fighting team will resist it, I think it's still undoubtedly the best move at our disposal, even if we do have to take a couple extra turns to get it to maximum damage. With another win in our basket though, we're able to fly back to Olivine, heal up the light bulb, and see if we're ready for Jasmine at all in the Steel Gym. And nope! No, definitely not. We get our ass handed to us on her opening Pokemon, the Magnemite. It's gonna paralyze us with Thunder Wave and then super effective hit us with a Thunderbolt. Yep, we're gonna have to just come back and try her later. Fortunately though, the gyms aren't necessarily done in sequential order, so we're able to actually skip Jasmine for now and go straight for Bryce, the Ice Gym leader, instead. I don't have any trouble taking out the Team Evil hideout underground here in Mahogany Town, so we go right for the gym. And I opt this time to use something other than Rollout, just for variety's sake if nothing else. I go for Mega Drain, and it looks like an easy sweep until we're not quite able to finish the Piloswine as he heals it with a Hyper Potion. I guess we'll run out of Mega Drains and just swap to Scratch instead. See, I can win a fight without Rollout. Piece of cake. Speaking of piece of cake, now I have absolutely no trouble defeating Jasmine after this. Now granted, that was thanks to our lovely Hidden Power. I gave it a go and it's super effective. It didn't get a boost from Sunny Day off Steelix, so that most likely means we have either a ground or fighting Hidden Power. Afterwards, I do confirm it's ground, but you can see just how quickly that's able to dispatch her team. Her Steelix hangs around a bit thanks to some potion stalling, but after a terrible few attempts at her at first, thanks to our fortuitous Hidden Power, we're able to absolutely tear through her with no trouble at all. Speaking of absolutely no trouble, defeating Team Evil at the local Radio Shack is not difficult. I can either use Rollout or my super effective ground Hidden Power to mow over all of their poison types. Once we do get the key to rescue the radio manager, that leads us up to our next fight against Tim. And this fight is actually a bit difficult. It's a damage range against the Golbat with our first Rollout, so we have to either hope to land a one-shot with the range, or instead of using Confuse Ray, go for something like Bite instead. Once we've got that, we've had it made, and we can just roll out to victory from there. We easily bring down the Magnemite and Meganium with a Stage 3 and Stage 4 rollout respectively. We miss our 5th stage rollout on Haunter, but a Hidden Power brings it down. Last out is a Sneasel, which can't really do much, so I bring it down without incident. Once I've rescued the radio manager, I return him to work so we can proceed to the final gym leader of the game, Dragon Leader Claire. And while dragons are weak to ice, for some reason, and we do have access to Icy Wind at this point, I decide to just press my luck with Rollout. We're gonna take a Surf from her first Dragonair, but after that, you can see it's a Rollout roll over her entire team without so much as a whimper. As broke as this move is, it is super satisfying to just crush our way past an entire team without having to bat an eye. That's 2 gyms now that we've done that in. Speaking of crushing a team without batting an eye, our next fight in Victory Road against the rival goes swimmingly thanks to, say it with me, Bullet Seed. Rollout. There was a bit of strategy needed here as the Magneton was paralyzing us, so we had to set up with a paralyzed Cure Berry to take care of that. After that though, we can just roll out through his team. Stage 4 Rollout's enough to take out Meganium, and the Stage 5 takes out Haunter. Kadabra and Golbat are relegated to the end of the fight for good reason. They don't do crap, and we take them out to get the win. Now that that's out of the way, it's time for the Elite Four, and we can press our luck with them. Psychic Trainer Will is up first, so we set our Rollout against his Flying-type Xatu, which survives and hits hard with Psychic. After that though, there's not much worrying to be had. We're able to roll over the rest of his team, including Executor, Slowbro, and Jinx, before coming to an end on the final Xatu. Fortunately, that's nothing that an Ancient Power can't deal with, and we've beaten Will just as quickly as it began. Up next is recently promoted Gym Leader Koga. He has a few new Pokemon to overcome, but our strategy is pretty much going to be the same as it's been all run. We're just going to use Rollout over and over until we win. I wish there was more strategy here, but when you've got a winning plan, just go with it. You can see we actually have a bit of a pickle on the Fortress that really doesn't take a lot of damage from rollouts, and that's when we start missing and having to reset them. You can see we actually have a bit of a pickle on the Fortress. It really doesn't take a lot of damage from rollout, and that's when we actually start missing and having to reset them. Eventually the Fortress just yeets and explodes all over us, dealing a nice chunk of damage, but that lets us restart rollout on the weak Ariados from earlier. After that, the rest of the team doesn't stand a chance. There could be a bit of a problem when we get to Muck with Minimize and the Crobat with Double Team, but both of their evasion boosts proves to be for naught, and we're able to overcome those to win. Speaking of overcoming, we have Bruno next, and much like our previous run with the Rock-type Nosepass where he was quite the challenge, this run is actually no exception. All of his fighting Pokemon will resist our rock moves, including Rollout, and we don't have anything good to deal with them on a super effective level. I can't even get a Rollout reliably going early, as the Hitmontop is just going to dig every other turn, which eliminates the Rollouts before they can really get their damage going. Our best bet is to just Hidden Power on the Hitmontop to bring it down, and then get a Rollout going against the Hitmonchan. We have to survive a couple of Mach Punches to do it, as well as survive a double kick from the Hitmonlee. Thank God our defense is higher, this would be a much bigger challenge. Fortunately, Hitmonlee sets up a Foresight for some reason instead of actually inflicting damage to us. That lets us get to the Machamp with a Stage 5 Rollout, which even at half damage due to its resistance, will still hit with a 200 plus base power Freight Drain's worth of damage. Then we can move on to Onyx, which is quad weak to Mega Drain, so yeah, easy peasy in hindsight, though we definitely had to make a few attempts to get that to go the way we wanted it. With 3 members of the Elite Four out of the way, now it's on to Karen, and boy does she live up to her moniker. And this is ridiculous. Most of the time, I can't even get past her Umbreon, much less the rest of her team. There was one attempt where I was able to get past and I wound up all the way to her Murkrow, but our accuracy was too far gone and we missed and got knocked out. And there's not much I can do here. This Umbreon is designed to cause you problems. Between Confuse Ray and Sand Attack, we really can't get Rollout going. And her second Pokemon, Vileplume, is going to one-shot us with Petal Dance pretty much every time, so there's nothing I can do here but level up and see if we can get somewhere with a little more brute force. So I try again 4 levels higher at level 65, and wouldn't you know it, we have the absolute easiest time with Karen this time. Now sure, I do a bit more damage against the Umbreon this time, but if you look closely, you'll see that for whatever reason, she decides not to use Sand Attack against me. Just Confused Ray and Feint Attack. With our accuracy intact, we land the rest of our rollouts and we can make it past the Vileplume and Gengar, leaving her with just a Murkrow, which goes down to Ancient Power, and a Houndoom that also goes down to Ancient Power. I would say what a difference just 4 levels makes, but honestly what made the difference there was not having my goddamn accuracy taken away by Rusty Shackleford's Pocket Sand. That was the real difference maker. Up last is the champion Lance. And again, like it's been for most of our run, we just go for Rollout. This time though, it's a pretty smart play, as most of his team, no actually check that, all of his team in this game are weak to Rock. It takes a couple to get going on the Gyarados, but after that, we run down his 3 Dragonites in a row without missing a beat. After that, he doesn't stand a ghost of a chance as we can one-shot his Charizard with any Rock move. In fact, in one run I tested it and we were able to one-shot the Charizard with a Stage 1 Rollout. That means that the base 45 power move, which is quad effective, is enough to one-shot the Charizard. After that, the Aerodactyl, despite being made of Rock, is still weak to Rock, and goes down to a single Ancient Power. And from there, we've got our win. The credits roll, we get Kabuto into the Hall of Fame, and there's where we could have called it the run. But I won't. There's still post-game Region of Kanto stapled onto the back of this placemat, so we're gonna do it. Let's see if we can get past the secret post-game fight against Red. No point in talking about the rest of Kanto, it's easy, everything is lower level than the Elite Four we already beat. So Red takes multiple tries at multiple levels to figure out what to do. We have to make several scouting runs just to figure out how much damage we deal and how much we can take and so on. You can see when we first get to red, we don't even stand a chance as the Pikachu just one-shots us with Thunder. And this isn't Gen 2, it doesn't even have the Light Ball that boosts its output by 50%. We start to make progress over the course of more levels, but finally I just have to take it all the way to level 95 before things start to piece together. Just like everything else, Rollout is all we need here, but it takes time to build up. Now we can't one-shot Pikachu without a crit, which is fine as long as it misses its Thunder or it misses its Charm. We get that here, and that sets up a full restore from red, which allows us to get 2 more rollouts to bring down the mouse. Espeon next, and we're able to bring it down with a stage 3 rollout. Our stage 4 rollout goes to the Venusaur, which is all we need to bring it down. Snorlax would go down to a stage 5 rollout, but we miss, so we have to set up another one while it sits there trying to set up Amnesia and rest. We have our second set of rollouts going, and our third stage finally brings down the Snorlax. And from there, it's easy victory. Stage 4 rollout is going to one-shot the Blastoise, and the stage 5 lands and takes out the Charizard for the win. And there we go, we've just fully beaten Pokemon Crystal using just a Kabuto. We had a terrible moveset, but we managed to pull it off. Rollout really is a powerful move and something special. I can't believe I used to turn my nose up at it when I was younger. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I did record this live on Twitch, as you noticed in the recording, so if you want to hang out with me and your fellow audience members as we play through the run next time, check me out on Twitch, join the Discord server to get all the notifications you need. Till next video, guys, good luck, have fun, and go catch 'em all.